Ready, say your name for me, please.
Rene Daalder.
Okay, just spell that for me, please.
Rene, R-E-N-E, Daalder, D as in David, A-A-L-D-E-R.
Okay, and tell me about your involvement in this project.
We basically digitized all of Leary's archive, all the video, all the audio, and so on. And we made a movie, a feature-length movie, I call it a sci-fi documentary, about kids, all students of UC Santa Cruz, who digitized all of the material, and we tell a story of theirs and their own re-evaluation of reality on psychedelics against the backdrop of going through all this material, which means that in the end you'll have a completely updated view of people on Leary. None of the baggage that comes with his whole legacy, and in some very, very refreshing way, through their eyes, the guy comes alive in a completely different way.
How big of a project was it to digitize all this stuff?
Well, it probably took about 4 months, something like that. It's a pretty big. It was a pretty big project, although.
And what was a lot of the original source material like?
So
what format was it?
A lot of it was like VHS. There was about hundreds of hours, but I think maybe like 250 hours of video, about 500 hours of audio, and we did a lot of the letters as well. So the audio and the video, we didn't discriminate. The written materials, we kind of curated a little bit more.
What's the earliest film? At what point in Tim's career?
The earliest film is probably a film shot at Millbrook. It's an interview which is very interesting, and then like preceding that there's a session he's conducting inside the mansion.
I've been asking a lot of people here tonight, a kid today in 2009 who may not know a lot about the history of Leary in the 60s, what can they get out of having this material available to them on the archive?
Well, so all the kids who are in the movie and whose story and like I said, whose own psychedelic re-evaluation of reality plays against this whole digitization project, they all completely loved the guy. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable. It becomes a total object lesson in optimism more than anything else. Leary is a super complex but incredibly appealing character in ways that actually you would never guess, going back to the more nostalgic portrayals of him. So it was, for me, one of the most rewarding things was to finally just cut out all the connotations of the 60s, the nostalgic aspects of it, plus all the very, very negative aspects of a lot of the writing and so on about him as well. It always comes and goes. Sometimes he's more appreciated than others, but altogether there's always a whole fog of confusing information about the guy. This guy is an incredible American character, and it's hard to believe that he has been overlooked so far to make a motion picture out of his life, for starters. I mean, he's easily of the caliber of Lenny Bruce or whatever. I mean, he certainly beats Larry Flint. You know, I mean, like I would say that this is a way for people to fall in love with an all-American, more or less bad boy character who is very, very funny, extremely provocative, and totally appeals to the internet generation.
And yet he was a very serious scientist as well.
He was a serious scientist. He was actually a futurist, much more than people realize. I mean, that's the other thing that is a little bit annoying in the end. How everything is always about LSD, LSD, LSD. Sure, of course, it was one of the ways that he thought we could rewire our brains and evolve our consciousness and things like that. But it's only one aspect. So in the film, we deal with all his space preoccupations, like a lot of involvement with space migration, things like that. We deal with live extension. We deal with the internet. I mean, like it's remarkable. The personal computer. He was there from the very beginning and promoted that like crazy. And then from there we go all the way to the web. ultimately he dies on the web. And he's, in a way, as a promoter, he's one of the initiators of the web. You really can almost go that far.